She called her overhyped and mocked the Philippines. Eala'S 10-word reply ended her career. It took only 5 seconds. 5 seconds of silence, a dismissive wave of a hand, and one sentence that shattered the internet. We are talking about a moment that froze the sports world, a moment where the old guard of tennis tried to crush the new rising queen of Asia and failed. Spectacularly. You know the name. Eala'S, the Filipina phenomenon. The 20-year-old left-hander who has been tearing through the WTA Tour like a Category 5 typhoon making landfall. She just cracked the world top 40. She just took down the most dominant player on the planet, Iga Swiatek. She is the pride of a nation of over 100 million people, a country that bleeds passion for every sport it touches. But apparently, to ESPN tennis legend Mary Jo Fernandez, Eala'S is just noise. Background static. A girl who got lucky a couple of times. She's overhyped. The Philippines doesn't have a real tennis tradition. That was the quote. Live on air. No filter. No hesitation. A direct attack not just on a 20-year-old young woman in the middle of the best run of her life, but on an entire country's history, its culture, its athletes, and the generations of Filipinos who have sacrificed everything for sport. The studio went silent. The co-hosts looked at their notepads, too uncomfortable to speak. The teleprompter kept rolling, but nothing could drown out what had just been said. It was the kind of disrespect that usually ends a young player's confidence. The kind of comment that makes a teenager cry in the locker room, call her parents, and question whether she belongs on this stage. This is exactly the kind of psychological warfare that the tennis establishment has used for decades to keep outsiders outside. But Mary Jo Fernandez forgot one critical thing. She forgot that Eala'S did not get to number 40 by letting people talk her out of believing in herself. She forgot that this girl was forged in the fires of the Rafa Nadal Academy, the most intense, most demanding, most ruthless tennis development system on the planet. And most critically, she forgot that you never, ever insult the Philippines. Because what happened next wasn't a meltdown. It wasn't a tearful social media post with a sad emoji and a quote about kindness. It wasn't a PR statement written by a publicist trying to smooth things over. It was 10 words. 10 perfectly chosen, surgically precise, absolutely devastating words spoken by Eala'S in a post-match press conference less than 60 minutes later. 10 words that forced a public apology, trended #1 globally in multiple countries, and proved once and for all that the argument about tradition is not just outdated, it is dead. Today, on Champions Tennisitics, we are going all the way in. We are breaking down the disrespect in full detail. We are walking through the breathtaking rise of Eala'S point by point. We are exposing the truth about Philippine tennis history that ESPN chose to ignore. We are unpacking the technical brilliance that makes her unplayable on her best days. And of course, we are revealing the 10-word mic drop that will be quoted for generations. Grab your popcorn, because this is the story of how the underdog bit back, drew blood, and walked away smiling. But before we reveal those legendary 10 words, smash that like button right now if you stand with Eala'S and the Philippines. If you love underdog stories, real tennis drama, and the moment when the doubters get sent home with their tails between their legs, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You do not want to miss a single second of what is coming. Champions Tennisitics. We don't just report the news, we serve the truth. Let's get into it. To truly understand why this explosion happened, we have to look at the full timeline. Context is everything. And when you see the full picture, Fernandez's comments become even more baffling. It is February 2026. Eala'S is on the run of her young career. She started the year ranked just outside the top 50, a dangerous, hungry floater that no seeded player wanted to see in their draw. Then came Abu Dhabi. Then came Dubai. Then came the momentum that snowballed into a force of nature that the WTA Tour simply was not prepared for. Let's look at the scoreboard, because facts don't lie. Eala'S dismantled Jasmine Paolini, the world number 8, a Roland Garros finalist, in a night session at the Dubai Tennis Championships that had the crowd on their feet from the very first game. She wasn't just winning, she was dominating. She was imposing her game, dictating play, and taking the Italian star completely out of her comfort zone. And then came the moment that officially changed the conversation. The crown jewel of her young career, a stunning, earth-shattering, absolutely jaw-dropping victory over the world's #1 player, Iga Swiatek. The Polish champion, who had been the undisputed ruler of women's tennis for years, found herself on the wrong end of a masterclass. Eala won it with her brain, her legs, her left hand, and the heart of a warrior. The result sent shockwaves through the tennis world. Social media went berserk. News outlets from Manila to Madrid covered it. A girl from the Philippines just beat the best player on the planet. The story wrote itself. Eala'S ranking shot into the top 40, a historic first for Philippine tennis. The first Filipina to ever reach that milestone. She was not just winning. She was literally writing history with every match she stepped onto the court for. The narrative was perfect. The momentum was unstoppable. So when the ESPN panel sat down to preview the upcoming tournament in Doha, the logical conversation was this: how far can Alex Eala go? Is a Grand Slam title within reach this year? These were the natural questions for a player performing at this level. But Mary Jo Fernandez, a 3-time Grand Slam finalist herself, decided that analysis was beneath her. Instead of breaking down Eala'S forehand trajectory, or dissecting how she managed Swiatek's heavy topspin, or talking about the improvements to her serve that have made her a different player entirely, Fernandez chose to go for the narrative attack. She leaned back in her chair. She looked directly into the camera with an expression of supreme confidence. And she delivered the take that blew up the internet. She's overhyped. Look, she's having a good month. But let's be real. The Philippines doesn't have a real tennis tradition. You can't expect a Grand Slam champion to come from a system that doesn't exist. It's a fluke. A fluke. Let that word sit with you for a second. A fluke is when your opponent slips and falls during a crucial point. A fluke is a net cord winner that accidentally clips the line. A fluke is something that happens to you, not something you create through years of sacrifice, discipline, and relentless improvement. Beating Swiatek, Paolini, Keys, and Ostapenko, 3 of the biggest hitters and competitors in women's tennis, is not a fluke. That is a pattern. That is excellence on repeat. The second part of Fernandez's comment was arguably even more damaging. The Philippines doesn't have a real tennis tradition. This is a classic gatekeeping tactic that elite sports media has deployed for decades. It's the idea that only certain countries, the United States, Australia, Spain, France, Germany, have earned the right to produce champions. Everyone else is just a visitor at their table. It's a way of saying, your history doesn't matter, your sacrifices don't count, and your dreams are borrowed. It is arrogant. It is dismissive. And it is historically, factually, embarrassingly wrong. Social media didn't wait for a response from Eala'S camp. Within minutes, not hours, minutes, Filipino fans, the most passionate, most digitally organized fan base in the world, descended on ESPN's accounts like a tidal wave. The hashtag #RespectAlexEala began trending in the Philippines, spread to Indonesia, jumped to Singapore, crossed into the Middle East, and finally caught fire globally. ESPN was being flooded with comments, messages, quote tweets, and video reactions. The sports world was watching. Everyone was waiting for one thing. How would Alex respond? Before we get to the clapback, we owe it to history to set the record straight. Because if you think Philippine tennis started with Alex Eala, you have not done your research. And Mary Jo Fernandez clearly had not done hers. Allow us to introduce you to Felicissimo Ampon. If that name is new to you, that is a failure of tennis media, not a failure of the Philippines. Ampon was one of the most remarkable athletes in the history of the sport, standing at barely 5 feet tall, earning the nickname the Mighty Might. He played in an era before million-dollar endorsements and private jets, when getting to a Grand Slam meant months of travel on ocean liners and tight budgets. In 1951, Ampon reached the quarterfinals of the French Open. In 1953, he matched that achievement at Wimbledon, the most prestigious tennis tournament on earth, played on the most hallowed grass in the sport. He wasn't there as a novelty. He wasn't there to make up the numbers. He was there beating some of the best players in the world, representing his country on the biggest stages available to him. His Davis Cup record was extraordinary. He led the Philippines to the Eastern Zone finals repeatedly, helping establish the Philippines as a genuine force in Asian tennis at a time when the infrastructure barely existed. He did it on talent, grit, and that uniquely Filipino brand of heart that does not know the meaning of giving up. But Ampon wasn't alone. Raimundo Darro was another pillar of Philippine tennis in that golden era, competing internationally with distinction. In the modern era, Cecil Mamiat broke ground at the professional level, reaching the ATP circuit and showing that Filipino players could compete at the highest level of the men's game. The Philippines has a consistent, documented, proud history of producing fighters who outperform every reasonable expectation. But here is the deeper truth that Fernandez missed entirely. Tradition in sport is not just about trophies in a glass cabinet. Tradition is not just about how many Grand Slam winners your country has produced or how many tennis academies you have per square kilometer. Tradition is about culture. It is about the sporting DNA of a people. The Philippines is the homeland of Manny Pacquiao, the only boxer in human history to hold world championship titles in 8 different weight divisions. 8. An achievement so statistically impossible that it defies every conventional understanding of what one human body can achieve. Pacquiao did not come from a country with a rich boxing tradition by European or American standards. He came from Sarangani. He came from poverty. He came from nothing, and he made himself into the greatest combat sports legend of his generation through Filipino heart. Hidalin Diaz, the first Filipino to win an Olympic gold medal in the history of the country. A weightlifter who trained in impossible conditions, was questioned at every turn, and then stood on the Olympic podium and wept while the Philippine flag was raised and the national anthem played. She did not need a tradition of Olympic weightlifting champions behind her. She built the tradition herself. This is what Fernandez failed to understand. Eala'S tradition is not made of clay courts in Barcelona or grass courts at Wimbledon. It is made of puso, the Filipino word for heart. It is made of leaving your family at 13 years old and boarding a plane to Mallorca, Spain, with a racket bag and a dream. It is made of birthdays spent alone in hotel rooms in foreign countries. It is made of waking up before sunrise in the Spanish cold to run drills until your legs give out, while back home, over 100 million people are praying for you. That is the tradition. The tradition of sacrifice. The tradition of making the impossible possible. And when you insult a Filipino sacrifice, you had better brace yourself for what comes next. We cannot tell this story without talking about the place where Eala'S was truly made. We have to talk about Manicure. We have to talk about the Rafa Nadal Academy by Movie Star, a training institution that is as much a crucible as it is a school. When Eala'S was a young teenager with blazing potential, she had a choice. She could stay in Southeast Asia, dominate the regional junior circuit, collect trophies in comfortable surroundings, and build a comfortable career. Or she could take the hard road. She chose the hard road. Do you know what training at Rafa's Academy actually looks like? This is not a country club with nice facilities and easy days. This is a factory of grit, discipline, and controlled suffering. Tony Nadal, Rafa's uncle, the legendary coach who shaped one of the greatest champions in sporting history, built a philosophy around one central idea. If you cannot learn to suffer, you cannot win at the highest level. Not in tennis. Not in anything that matters. Tony didn't care about your talent when you walked through the door. He cared about your character when things went wrong. He cared about whether you fought harder at 0 to 40 than you did at 40 to 0. He cared about whether you came back the next morning after a crushing defeat and hit the balls harder than the day before. Eala'S survived that system. More than survived, she thrived. She earned respect in an environment where respect is earned one ball at a time, never given, never guaranteed. This is why Fernandez's comments were so spectacularly tone-deaf. She looked at Eala'S and saw a flag from a small nation. She didn't see the thousands of hours of drilling on the academy's courts. She didn't see the mental warfare of competing daily against some of the best young players in Europe, against kids who had been playing since they could walk, on surfaces their families had played on for generations. A correspondent from a major European sports network raised his hand. He chose his words carefully, the way you do when you are lighting a fuse. Eala'S, congratulations on the win. There's been significant reaction today to some comments made on ESPN by Mary Jo Fernandez, who suggested your rise might be somewhat of a fluke because, in her words, the Philippines lacks a real tennis tradition. Does that concern you at all? Do you feel extra pressure to prove the doubters wrong? The room went absolutely silent. You could have heard a pin drop on the carpet. Eala'S adjusted the microphone in front of her. She looked down at her hands for exactly 1 second, one heartbeat of stillness. She took a slow, deliberate sip of water. She didn't look angry. She didn't look hurt. She looked, if anything, mildly, pleasantly amused. Like someone who had been expecting this question and had already decided exactly what she was going to say. She looked up. She found the camera. And she spoke. She didn't rant. She didn't fire back with a list of achievements and statistics. She didn't attack Fernandez personally. She didn't appeal to emotions. She did something far more powerful. She redefined the entire terms of the debate in a single breath. She leaned forward, close to the microphone, and delivered these words. I don't play for history. I play to write it. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 words. 10 perfect, elegant, devastating words. I don't play for history. I play to write it. The press room erupted. Journalists who had been sitting in professional stillness suddenly broke. There were audible gasps, a scattered burst of applause from the back of the room, and the furious clicking of keyboards as everyone typed at once, racing to be the first one to publish the quote. Flashbulbs went off like a lightning storm. A video clip of that response hit Twitter within 45 seconds of her saying it. 45 seconds. Think about the genius of what she said. In 10 words, she completely dismantled Fernandez's argument without ever engaging with it directly. She did not defend the Philippines. She did not list Felicissimo Ampon's Wimbledon quarterfinal. She did not cite statistics or trophies. She did something far more sophisticated. She changed the frame entirely. She acknowledged, with supreme confidence, that maybe the history books aren't yet full of Filipino tennis champions. And then she made clear that this is precisely why she is here. She is not walking a path that others cleared. She is the one with the machete, clearing the jungle, making the path herself. For the next generation. For the little girl in Quezon City who will pick up a racket tomorrow morning because Eala'S exists. It was not just a soundbite. It was a philosophy, a manifesto. It said, I am not defined by what came before me. I am defined by what I do next. And what I do next will be the tradition that future champions build upon. By morning, I Play to Write It was printed on t-shirts in Manila. By afternoon, it was trending in 11 countries. By the end of the week, it had been quoted by athletes from other sports, politicians, writers, and motivational speakers around the world. It transcended tennis entirely. It became the rallying cry of every underdog, every outsider, every person who has ever been told they come from the wrong place or the wrong background. But this incident does more than expose one pundit's careless comment. It exposes a systemic problem in tennis media that has been simmering for years, a problem that players from Asia, Africa, and Latin America know all too well, even if they rarely say so publicly. It is called Western bias, and it runs deep. For most of its history, professional tennis has been a sport for the privileged classes of Europe and North America. The infrastructure, the prize money, the media coverage, all of it was concentrated in a handful of countries. If you were American, you were automatically given the benefit of the doubt. If you were British, you were embraced as a story. If you were Australian or Spanish or French, you were seen as legitimate. If you were from anywhere else, you were a novelty at best and a fluke at worst. Remember when they said Li Na was simply a marketing opportunity for the Chinese sports industry? That her success was engineered by a government machine rather than earned by an extraordinary individual talent? Then she went out and won the French Open. Then she went and won the Australian Open. Then she was inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame. The narrative caught up with the reality, eventually, but the damage of the early dismissals was real. Remember when they said Naomi Osaka was too quiet, too shy, too emotionally fragile to compete at the very top? That she needed to develop a champion's mentality? She responded by winning 4 Grand Slam titles and becoming one of the most influential athletes of her generation. The pundits moved the goalposts and changed the story to suit their conclusions, just as they always do. Eala'S is the latest target of this bias, and she may well be the one who finally, permanently breaks it. The media has loved her when she was the smiling, polite, endearingly humble young woman who was exceeding expectations. But the moment she started genuinely threatening the established order, the moment she started beating Swiatek and top 10 players, the moment she stopped being a feel-good story and started being a genuine threat, the narrative shifted. Suddenly, the same player who was inspiring last month is overhyped this month. This is a pattern, and it needs to be named for what it is. a refusal to extend to non-Western athletes the same presumption of legitimacy that Western athletes receive automatically, simply by virtue of where they were born. Eala'S' 10-word response did not just shut down one pundit. It shut down an era. It told the world's sports media, the old rules are gone. The assumptions are finished. We are not here to fit your narrative. We are here to write a new one. Billie Jean King, the woman who has done more for equality in tennis than any other human being alive, went to social media within the hour. Her message was simple and perfect. That is the spirit of a champion. Well said, Eala'S. Billie Jean King does not hand out compliments casually. She has been watching champions for over 50 years. When she calls something the spirit of a champion, you listen. The Philippines has been waiting for a sporting hero of this magnitude on the global stage. They had Pacquiao in the ring. They had Diaz with the barbell. Now they have Eala'S with the racket. And unlike the other two, her story is still in its opening chapters. She is 20 years old. She has been a professional for a handful of years. The best of what she has to offer this sport almost certainly has not been witnessed yet. Mary Jo Fernandez questioned whether a Grand Slam champion could emerge from a country without a real tradition. She may one day watch Eala'S lift a trophy at Roland Garros, or Melbourne Park, or Flushing Meadows, and understand that what she witnessed from that press conference podium was not just a clapback. It was a preview. It was the first paragraph of the opening chapter of a legacy that will be read for decades. Let us bring this back to where we started. A dismissive wave of a hand. One sentence. 5 seconds of bored arrogance on a television screen. And then, 10 words from a 20-year-old woman from the Philippines that rewrote the conversation entirely. 10 words that made legends nod, made a nation erupt, and made an entire media apparatus recalibrate how it talks about a player it had underestimated from the very beginning. This was not just a tennis story. This was a story about belonging. About who gets to claim the title of champion before the trophies are even won. About the way powerful institutions use the language of tradition and pedigree and background to keep newcomers from the table. And about what happens when a newcomer refuses to accept the menu they've been handed. Eala'S did not need validation from Mary Jo Fernandez. She did not need ESPN's approval. She already had the approval of the 100 million people back home who wake up early to watch her play. She already had the respect of Rafa Nadal, who watched her develop from a teenager into a force of nature. She already had the truth of the scoreboard, which speaks the only language that matters in professional sport. But what she gave the world in that press room, what she chose to do with the microphone when the moment arrived, elevated her beyond a tennis player. She became a symbol, a figure whose story will be told to the next generation of Filipino athletes as proof that the doubters are not the ones who decide what is possible. That is a gift of incalculable value, and she gave it freely. She doesn't play for history. She plays to write it. And right now, pen in hand, she is just getting started. What do you think? Was Mary Jo Fernandez completely out of line? Or do you think there is any merit to her original point about tennis tradition? And was Eala'S' 10-word response the greatest single comeback quote in tennis history? Or can you think of something better? Drop your rating of Eala'S' response in the comments. Give it a score from 1 to 10. We want to hear what you think. And the big question, do you believe Eala'S will win a Grand Slam title in 2026? Or will it take one more year of development? Make your prediction in the comments section right now, because we are keeping track. If you learned something today, if this story fired you up, if you believe that Eala'S deserves to be celebrated and that the Philippines deserves its place in tennis history, smash that like button with everything you have got. Let's push this video to 10,000 likes and send a message to the world that we are here, we are watching, and we are not going anywhere. Subscribe to Champions Tennisitics if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell, because we are going to be with Eala'S every step of the way, from the top 40 to the top 20 to the top 10, and God willing, to the moment she lifts a Grand Slam trophy and the Philippines celebrates like never before in its sporting history. This has been Champions Tennisitics. We don't just report the news. We serve the truth, we tell the full story, and we celebrate the champions who are still writing theirs. Until next time, keep watching. There is another dimension to what comes next that deserves equal attention.